there are challenges in bringing in two new players, but what are some of the positives?
Well, I think, when you bring in guys, you have a chance to potentially bring new energy in, to bring in guys that, have something to prove. For differing reasons, guys get traded, and when they do, I think there's an opportunity to most of the time guys come in with something to prove. So, and ultimately, I would probably just look at it, and I think we're bringing in two good players, and we lost a good player. We're bringing in two good players, and how they do is up to them, and that'll impact how good we are.
It's funny because the other night you said, there'd been friction between you and Anthony at times, and probably the same thing can be said about Jakub in the Capitals. But so what can he, what do you look for him? Like we always talk about playing the right way, like to instill in him that that's what's needed, and like where can he fit in specifically?
Yeah. I want to go back to my comment, about friction. That's really natural and normal. And
right.
I've had friction with Dylan Larkin. I've had friction with any player that I'm trying to push to another level. And that's just reality of coach-player relationships most of the time. I think ultimately I had great respect for Anthony as a person and as a player. In terms of Jakub, he has an opportunity. I mean, if you look at his points throughout his pro career, they're pretty impressive. And he's got high-end ability. There's a reason he was drafted where he was drafted. He's got high-end ability. And so he can, in a lot of ways, fill similar roles to what Anthony was given. Anthony ultimately was a power play guy, was a guy who spent time on one of our two top lines. And I think that's the types of roles that I hope Jakub can come in and flourish in. And who he plays with, we'll feel that out as we go. Certainly, right away he's going to get a chance in a power play unit, and then he's got to go and execute. And I want to over the course of these 12 games, I hope he gets a chance to really showcase his abilities. But he has to earn that ice time too, and he has to do it right. We as a team are a team that has to do it right more than others potentially, because we don't score as easy as some other teams. We certainly don't score as easy as Washington. But I also think doing it right leads to long-term success, and that's what Steve has, made very clear to all of us in this organization, that we're not taking shortcuts to win a game or two this year. We want to make sure that we're building for the long term, and to do that, you have to check well. You have to work and compete at a high level. You have to manage the puck well, and you have to be able to produce offense while doing all those things. And I really believe Jakub can, but he's going to get an opportunity to prove that.
And lastly, Robbie Fabry, any thoughts on him for tomorrow's availability?
He won't be available for tomorrow. He's making progress. He skated for the first two drills today, I think, and then once we got into team drills, he could have stayed out there, but we had too many players at that point, and so he is not available for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Next question, Ansar Khan, MLive.
Yeah, Jeff, guys like Fabry and Ernie, for example, came here with, got more opportunity, kind of came into their own. I know it's a little different with Vrana because he's had productive seasons in Washington, but still you've got the same kind of, the opportunity for more minutes, and certainly the motivation that you talked about of, showing that maybe his former team made a mistake, and that combination of motivation and opportunities, that something that always kind of propels like players who get traded.
Well, I don't think it always does, but it has the opportunity to do that. Certainly, I would say, in this case, it's different than Fabs and Ernie, in a sense that, I think Jakub over the years has had some pretty good opportunity there in Washington, and what I know for sure is he'll have an opportunity to do that here. And again, he's not going to be given anything, just like the rest of our players aren't. He's going to have to earn it. But as we recognize the skill set he has. We recognize the abilities that he has, and now he's got to go out and shift by shift earn it, and I believe he will. So I think it can be a great marriage. I think he can be a guy who can be part of the core that's going hopefully build this organization to better tomorrow. I think he can be a big part of that, but he's got to, he's got to make sure he makes that decision on a shift by shift basis. I like his skill set. I like his ability. He seems like a very nice young guy. And now has a chance to go out and prove that he's going to, again, be the complete player, including work and compete and good defensively and still be able to produce. And the guys that do that are guys that help you win at a high level. And so we're going to help him get to that level, or help him get to that as best we can.
And I know lines certainly are bound to change and will change, but at least initially, you have them with today with Rasmussen and Filppula. Does it kind of give you a shooter on that line with a big net front guy and a guy who likes to facilitate?
It does. It also gives us some stability in our lines in a sense that, that was Bantha's spot, when he was towards the last few weeks here. And so, I think Phil's, been around a long time as a real KG veteran, can help young players. And certainly Verana's not a really young player, but he's coming in new to the team, and he can help them navigate through, anything from systems questions to all that stuff. And Ras has done a really good job. And to your point, there's a real good passer and puck controller. There's a real good net front guy and a real good shooter. So hopefully they have a good combination.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Next up, Max Boltman with The Athletic.
Hey, Jeff, I'm curious, how natural do you feel kind of the checking elements and the hounding loose pucks? How natural does that come to Vrana, and how much do you think that's going to be kind of something he's working in here?
I think like a lot of offensive players, I think when things don't go great, they tend to cheat for offense. And I think it's a learned process for almost every offensive player come to the league, and even guys that have been in the league, and certainly even guys that have had success in the league. And I think that's one of the things that, he's going to have to continue to build and get better at. No different than a lot of our guys. He's the same age as Dylan Larkin, and Larks is still working at that and understanding that ultimately you can't force offense. You attack when the opponent's vulnerable, and you take what's given when they're not, and you make them earn every inch of ice themselves. And when you do that, you become a really complete player, and a really you help your team win at a high level. And I think, like I said, Larks and him are in the same class. I think they were drafted 2 apart. Though these are learned things that don't happen overnight, and he's going to have to continue to work at it and learn it. And as he does, he can become a really good winner.
And then, as you have a guy here for these last 12 games or whatever it is, I mean, how hard do you coach him right away, as he's got a bunch on his plate, learning the systems already, and how much is it just kind of a feeling out?
We'll just talk about a couple of non-negotiables that he has to do in order to make sure he keeps playing, and he's going to make lots of mistakes, for like all of our players do, and probably even more reasons when you don't totally know the systems and it's not all coming natural to you. I'm not worried about mistakes at all, but we'll talk about a couple of non-negotiables. Certainly being work ethic, compete, and just playing from the D side of the puck.
Thanks, Jeff.
Next up, Ted Colton, Detroit News.
It was kind of interesting, Jeff. This part of the schedule, sometimes it could always be somewhat loosey-goosey, but with this collective group, like collectively and individually, there's a lot for this team to play for, actually. A lot of jobs at stake and all that. What do you guys want to accomplish? I mean, what do you kind of want to focus on here down the stretch?
Well, we want to make sure we don't waste 1 second of the opportunity we have left in front of us. I think every game, every time you get a chance to play a game in the National Hockey League, you should cherish it. And everybody always thinks they have a long time left, and really everything goes so fast. As we saw last year, we got shut down. All of a sudden, we were done playing. So we want to make sure we make the most of every second we have left playing this season. Number 2. There is a lot at stake, both individually. There's a lot of guys who are playing for contracts, playing for roles within our team, trying to establish themselves. And there's a lot collectively. I think we've done a good job this year of helping to build a foundation that we can have long-term success with. I think we're a much better defensive team across the board in a lot of different areas. And I think some of our young players have really started to take some steps. I think some of our mid-age players are continuing to take steps. And so we got to make sure, you know, in a case of a panic and a Verana, they can come in and really make a strong statement over these 12 games of where they're going to fit in come day one of camp next year. So, you know, I think there's tons to play for, and it better not be loosey-goosey.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jeff.
That's it for us today. Thanks, everyone.